You're listening to the #1 internet radio station, Soul Radio USA.
Hello and welcome to Soul Sensations. Today I am privileged to be with Ula Hedwig and Charlo Crossley of formerly the Harlots. And do you believe, right, this is their first interview together since 1977. If my memory serves me right.
So
hello, ladies.
Soul Sensations.
Yeah.
Hello, ladies.
Hello, Steve.
Hi, Ula.
Hello
Hi,
from
Charlo.
Nashville. Hello from Nashville on my end here.
Los Angeles on the west side.
So we're coming from all different corners of
Yeah.
this earth.
Yes, I love that.
East and West Coast.
Yeah.
Right. So tell you what. Oh, yeah, we'll have some fun. Now, this question is for both of you, okay? And I'll start with you, Ula.
Okay.
All right. So, what did you do prior to the audition for Bette Midler's Harlots?
Well, right prior to it, I was doing Godspell at a dinner theater in Toledo, Ohio. And left that show because I got the call. I got the call that everybody was auditioning for the spot. So yeah. I had to get to New York and do it.
How about you, Charlotte? What were you doing?
Me? Well, I was in a Broadway show at the Albin Theater that was about to have its opening night. We were in previews. And we had been in Detroit for 6 weeks doing out-of-town tryouts. And the name of this musical was called The Foibles of Scapin. In parentheses, the title was called Tricks.
Uh-huh.
And our friend Jerry Blatt was he was the composer of the music. And I was at the theater, and I already knew Bette, and she and Bill Hennessy came and asked me on a Wednesday afternoon between shows. They came up to the theater, and she asked me right there in the room. She was in my dressing room. We were just, laughing and talking like we always did.
Uh-huh.
And she asked me if I would come and I would be a Harlette, if I would replace Melissa. And I said, sure. This was at that point, this woman was my friend. We were girlfriends. We would hang out and stuff. Yeah. And I said, oh, yeah, great. I'd love to. I figured I'd be helping her out. Little did I know that the show that opened, that was on a Wednesday. The Wednesday we did 2 shows. The next night was Thursday. We opened, and then by Saturday, we received our notice. And on Sunday, we closed. And on Monday, I went to rehearse. I started rehearsal with Melissa Manchester in her apartment. She was married to Larry Maggot, who went on to manage all these comedians. And I say all of this in sequence because it's all incredibly important, because she blew up. Huge star, Melissa Manchester, who I call Mummy. And what happened to me? I gave my next. I was with Bette for the next 7 years, and that was in 1972.
So, did you know each other? Like, because you've got yourself, Charlotte, you've got your Ula, and we also have Sharon Red. Now, did you ladies all know each other prior to formerly the Harlots? Or how did you all get together?
I met Charlo in the Chicago Company of Hair, actually.
All right. Okay.
We were both
young
teenagers, very young girls. And I do believe that Charlo was very instrumental in getting me into the Harlette.
I was.
I know you were. because Charlo was in the room as I was auditioning.
All right.
I was in the room where it happened.
Yeah.
I would have been laughing. Yeah, I would have been giggling.
You know what is so funny is that that was a very quirky kind of an audition process. There was a lot of girls in the room that day. But when you came in, I told Bette, I said, this girl right here, I said, this girl can sing. This girl is brilliant. And we go way back, and I know she'll be great.
And also, I came in literally off of the airplane from Ohio with not a stitch of music or anything. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know what I was going to sing. But then another mutual friend of ours, Zora Rasmussen, came in with a stack of music. And in that stack, I think the Wedding Bell Blues was in there. Yeah. And I had auditioned with that song for Hair. So I figured, okay, this could be a lucky song. So I think Zora was singing it, and I suggested that we all sing backup.
Yeah.
You know, because I wasn't prepared with anything else.
Extemporaneous, that like that. I remember that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but only because I was not prepared. She never knew that part.
Hey, listen.
But I guess I passed the dance auditions as well with Tony Basil.
Tony Basil was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about Tony a little bit later, because a lot of people here in the UK don't know what Tony actually did prior to their hit single, but we'll be talking about that later on. But until then, I've got a little question here. What is South Seas Scene about? And who originated and presented it to Bette Midler initially?
Okay. Mr. Carlock. It was Mr. Carlock. Our friend Rick Carlock wrote that song. And Charlo was there, I guess, when Bette adopted it. So I don't know the story behind.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not sure.
It was just right about in the same time frame when you joined the group.
Okay, so maybe. Well, who brought the song in? I'm not sure. I don't remember that far back.
He came in. He came and hung out with us one day at rehearsal.
Ah. Okay.
And he said, "Well, Rick Carlock, what do you have for me?" And so then, because he lived in Hawaii, and she grew up in Hawaii, so they had that whole aloha culture going on between the two of them. That aloha vibe.
Right.
So they started talking about the hula culture, and the men had had the whole hula culture. So Carlock started doing all the male hula dancing and stuff. And the whole thing was slapping his hands on his thighs and doing this dance and kind of doing this crazy kind of chant. And we were crying with laughter. And then he taught her, if you're cracking up or having like a shacking up, which he used to do. He and Karen Vihari and Georgia Wise and Marsha Malamud.
The Royal Canadian Fromage was their comedy troupe. That's it.
So
it's all coming back to me now.
Great memories.
Yeah.
So the Harlots album, who actually recorded it? Sorry, where was it recorded? And who was the producer? So you can tell me about the album that you released.
Well, you want to take it away? It's David Rubinson was the producer.
Yeah.
Out of San Francisco. And it was Adam's Dad Productions and
Adam's Dad's Management.
And
which is
our manager at the time was a woman named Candy Lee.
The late great Candy Lee.
Yes. And what happened was there was a 3-page story about the Harlettes at Reno's in the Soho. What was the name of that?
The Village
newspaper.
Boy?
No, it was the Soho Weekly or something.
Soho Weekly, yeah.
And David Rubinson caught the article. He saw it somehow.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and he got in touch with Candy, I believe, and that's how that ball started
started rolling.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, the three of us girls, we were putting our act together, and we were putting our act together
because we had an offer, right, to do Studio One
out here.
Yeah. That's why we put the act together, because I think somebody offered us a gig.
Just on the name, just on the value that we were the Harlettes and they wanted us to come out. But we were rehearsing with Bette we were doing double duty. I know we were very tired. We were
Oh, that
rehearsing.
was after the album, right? That was after the
Well,
LP came out.
no. Before we got the deal.
Oh,
Before we got the deal, we were doing double duty. We were rehearsing our show in New York. We were doing our show in New York,
right,
and
at Reno's.
and it was a triumph. And the great thing about that was we were in the company of so much incredible talent that has been pivotal in our entertainment galaxy for the last 30, I'll say the last 30, 40 years of people who came out of that particular group of performers from Reno Sweeney, with
Right.
a little club on a very beautiful street in the West Village, and I mean Peter Allen and Waylon and Madam, and oh my God, Andrea Marcovici and Ellen Green and Gotham and Sally Kellerman. I mean, there's just so many artists came through those portals.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Cabaret at the time was really huge
It was
too, like
massive.
Cabaret,
Yeah.
Yeah.
singing in those kind of clubs.
Yeah, and you could work all over Manhattan, and so we had the West Side pretty sewn up. I think that when I became friends with Bette, she was working at a club called the Downstairs at the Upstairs, and the Upstairs at the Downstairs on the East Side, and she had already worked all the clubs in the coffee houses and small, like the Bonsoir and the Bitter End and the Village Gate, when it was just her and Barry and a band, and Barry Manilow and a band,
Yeah.
and Barry was her musical director. So I just remember we were doing double duty, and the great thing about putting our show together was we really pulled from our friends. We had a great, incredible group of highly creative people that we hung out with and lived with.
Right. Yeah. And here's an FYI. The 16-year-old Mark Shaman
Mhm.
was our
Like our
musical
mascot.
director. Yeah.
Mark Sherman.
Yes, when he was a mere lad of 16.
He had just become a liberated minor.
And he knew people that lived next door, Scott Whitman, and they were
Yeah.
doing a comedy act. So Mark played for that comedy act,
He
but
played
was a huge Bette Midler fan. And when he found out Harlette lived next door, he
was it.
he was floored. Yes. So
crazy. That apartment building on 79th Street was really kind of like our Brill building.
yes, because Billy and Kelly were on the 4th floor,
Yeah.
and Scott
Yeah.
Whitman and
Constantly rehearsing. I mean, there was a constant flow of music and acts and people and hilarity, and the cheese factor was very, very, very high.
yeah.
But I didn't know that about David Rubenson, but we were really blessed because the minute we said we wanted to do something and started talking to people and we already had a sound, and our
Yeah.
sound was very indicative of the times. When I listened to stuff that we did back in the day, Ula, not just our stuff, but just the kind of music that was out there and the kind of harmonies. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
to have a great ear, you had to have your tone and your pitch. But the great thing about all of us was most of us had intense music choral training from high school. And I want to say that particularly from us coming from the Midwest.
Well, my school was AM radio.
Yeah.
that was my college.
Thank
there.
you.
Yeah.
And Dionne Warwick records, little
Hello,
Dionne
thank
Warwick
you.
singles.
At
Yes,
Dusty Springfield. We studied at the Dionne Warwick Dusty Springfield.
that's right.
And Black. And Lulu.
Yes, yes.
Of vocal training.
I'm getting the swift of this now, like I think. Right. Whose idea was it to perform I think like one of the best tracks she's ever released, "Roll Me Through the Rushes." Tell me the history of that
Oh, okay.
track.
The history of that. David Lastly and Lana Morano. I was in a group called Valentine when I first,
Right.
when I second time came to New York back in '74. The first time I came was in '72.
Yep.
So I came to do David's group, and David and Lana wrote the most eclectic kind of songs. You know, they weren't. Every time we tried to shop a deal, they kept going, "Well, we don't hear the hit." You know, that was the big phrase, catchphrase back then. We don't hear the hit. But so I brought in "Roll Me Through the Rushes" because we had done that song in Valentine.
And it was very, very, very popular among our, just whenever we would go to see Valentine, people would always say, sing "Roll Me Through the Rushes." It became the song that was being sung in our little circle.
Right.
And I mean, every time I would go see Valentine and they sing it, it would just kill. It's like we would all be in tears. So it already had, I want to say, like a cult following.
Yeah.
Right. And it was such a good song for harmony. I mean, there were 4 of us in the group Valentine, so you can imagine, how lush it sounded. It sounded great. And Marcia Malamet, the keyboard player we mentioned previously, she was our keyboard player in that group, which is where I met Marcia.
Yeah.
So it's weird how everything connects.
Yeah,
it's all synchronatic. It's all synchronicity. So I brought the song and we started doing it as the Harlettes in our act at Reno's and wherever we'd play.
Yes, and we had huge, huge, huge response. I mean, it was just so, it was just a powerful thing, a moment in our show, and when I think back about some of our early stuff that we did, Ula, was so schmaltzy. We were
listen, we were the comedy queens too. We did a lot of comedy.
We did a lot of act. We had to do comedy because that was the only way that we were going to behave.
So how were you singing? Do some comedy, crack a joke.
So it wasn't jokes. It was kind of routines, right? It was
standard routines.
Well, the famous Polly Darkin that Charlo did, the character.
That was so crazy. Well, we had to have some kind of shtickler. We had to have, shtick, so we did that. And the song that I sang, "Teardrops on My Turkey," written by Mark Shaman for the Royal Canadian Fromage.
Right.
When you think about
we all borrowed from each other.
So we took.
Heavy duty borrowing.
We're going to do this. And I go, okay. And so, but when I think about it, it's like we had our own, we were like our own, what do you call it? We were part of like a theatrical.
We all came from the theater too. That helped.
You're doing a little niche.
Yes. Yeah. So Charlo came out with this big blonde wig. She was the black version of Dolly Parton.
And then
it's a very visual joke, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
No, that's what I've seen that photograph so many times. Now I know. Now it's Dolly Parton. I never knew that.
Yes, Polly Darkin. Think about it.
Polly Darkin, and then Ula did Tony Orlando. And who was Sharon Red? Who did Sharon do?
I don't remember.
But she sang. Oh yeah.
Well,
wasn't Cher C'est La Femme part of that whole thing?
Yeah. We did these little medley things.
Yeah.
That we ended up doing on the Merv Griffin show.
Yeah, we did.
We were on his show twice, I believe.
He loved us. We did. Yeah. We did. And we did Mike Douglas. Didn't we do Mike Douglas?
No, we did Dinah Shore.
Loved us, so we did
Dinah Shore.
Oh my God. Oh, my God.
That's
what that. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's who Sharon did. She did Dinah Shore.
Dinah Shore.
She did a perfect Dinah Shore.
It was crazy. Remember how beautiful and wonderful Dinah Shore was?
Yes.
She was a true star and just precious. And she and Sharon even sounded alike.
Well,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They were the same
She had
overall-
Sharon do her. She had Sharon do the impersonation on the air at
Wow.
the end. Remember?
Yes, we'll be right back. We
Yeah.
were like, wow. She was so sweet and kind.
She was very
precious.
sweet.
Right, so since we're sharing all these stories, all right,
Yeah.
I'm going to pull this one right out of the hat. A little birdie told me about your whole tour getting stranded in Akron, Ohio. Can you share with me what happened that night? The whole tour was
Which
stranded.
tour?
We were under Bette.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The Bette
I
Midler tour.
I thought that was Cleveland. It was Akron.
That's Cleveland, Akron.
Oh, okay.
So so when
It
you're
was
all
a
together in the
blizzard. It
hotel,
was a blizzard.
That was Akron because we were on our way to Cleveland.
Okay. Yes, I remember the great blizzard of '76. I guess.
Yeah.
so what happened that night?
The show was canceled. I'm just waiting
No,
for maybe Charlo to
You're
tell
laughing.
the story.
As usual, I don't know if we took a bus in or we flew, and we were on our way to the hotel.
And took over the house band, yes, and got up. And there's Bette up there, and all these drunk businessmen are sitting there, and they probably had no clue who she was.
They had no clue who we were because we were just walking. Our entire band just took over, and the house band that was there, they just sat down at the bar and we entertained them. We did our entire show.
Yep.
So basically, you took over the hotel.
Well, it was the lounge, but I don't remember a lot of people being in there. So the people who were in there got something special that night.
Oh yeah. And Aaron Russo, of course, he being Mr. Savvy, leaked it to the press. That we took it over. Took over the lounge. But we had so much fun. We were singing all this other stuff, and we said, "Oh, we might as well just do the show." And then we just started singing the stuff from the show. So it was actually kind of life imitates art, because there was a moment in Bette's show where she does her lounge act, her nightmare, her lounge act, under the auspices of the character Vicky Edie. So there we were in this cheese bomb lounge. I don't know if it was
in our street clothes too. I mean, we were just
in jeans
and no makeup,
makeup.
Nothing. Just
started singing, and we did our show. And our band got up and started playing. Buddy playing the drums, and had like just a basic, 3-4 pieces, I think. And we had a blast. We laughed so hard. We just had a blast.
Did you get paid for it?
Well, we got paid anyway because we got snowed in. I mean, but
maybe we got paid. Maybe we got paid in drinks, but I don't remember that.
They're the best sort of gigs.
There too. We also had like bar food, and we were snowed in there for like 2 days.
Wow.
So we finally got out of there and got into Cleveland, and Cleveland was very snowy.
That's where they filmed. That's where they shot the special.
Show. Yeah, exactly. And it's a lovely Bimbo Celebrity Lounge.
Yes, I remember that.
Right. So earlier we touched on Toni Basil. Now, she's mainly known here in the UK for bringing out the hit single Mickey. All right.
Yes.
That's all she's known for, mainly in this country. Can you tell me what Toni Basil's involvement was with Bette Midler and yourselves?
Well, she was the choreographer, but I don't know. Before I came in, I don't know that relationship or when she came in. Charlo, do you know? Did she come in the same time I did? I'm not sure.
No, she came a little bit before, and she came through none other than the late, great, and truly beloved Allie Willis. And
Okay.
Allie Willis met and became friends, and fast friends, immediate friends. And Tony Basil already. Now I've just discovered this in the last couple of years. Huge. She had a huge motion picture and recording career. She recorded
Oh.
a great Northern Soul hits on a label out here. I think she might have even worked with Phil Spector. She was when I met her, she was still living with Dean Stockwell in the Hollywood Hill in Malibu, and she had just become a part of the group The Lockers. But what people don't realize is she was in Viva Las Vegas with Elvis. She
Yes.
was in Bye Bye Birdie with Anne Margaret.
5 Easy Pieces. She played, wasn't that the movie? And she played the huge role in that.
That was her breakthrough role. And she did a lot of,
And she choreographed the Tammy Show, or she co-choreographed it?
co-choreographed the Tammy Show.
The Tammy Show.
Those go-go dancers. And most recently, she did all the cheese bomb choreography for the Hullabaloo scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Right, yeah. But I remember her in The Lockers. I remember The Lockers very distinctly.
And when I met her, she was in The Lockers. She was in The Lockers. And she became friends, from what I understand. I think through Allie Willis, she became friends with Bette. And that was pretty much how
she came about.
Right. Andre DeShields was our first choreographer for the Harlettes when I joined in 1972, and then Tony Basil came in after. We had Michael Michael Bennett for about 10 minutes. He came in and taught us in the mood, but that was before Ula joined the group. But oh my God.
Wasn't Andre the choreographer of Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, correct? He did Boogie Woogie?
He did Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. He did
which we still used that same choreographer.
Yeah.
The same choreography for 30 years.
Yeah.
it's still the same.
Absolutely. And he also taught us the Do You Want to Dance, all her basic songs from her first 2 albums. He choreographed, but the first album definitely he choreographed all that stuff. And now he's gone on to be just a massive Broadway star, our Andre DeShields. So, and he was also part of that whole collective, this creative collective, I guess you could call it, out of New York, and he and I, we were in Hair together in Chicago. We all have this Chicago. We've got this strong Chicago connection.
Yeah.
And we left Chicago and went to New York. Went to Vegas and went to all these other places.
Well, do you know what I'm going to do now, ladies? We're going to have a little break for music.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to play all of your hits and some extra ones. 78, Roll Me Through the Rushes. That's my favourite. Right. Here comes part 2 of that exclusive interview. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of our exclusive interview with Ula Hedwig and Charlo Crossley. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello again.
Welcome back.
Or hello.
Hello, blue. I want to start rock-a-hula, rock-a-hula.
What? Oh.
That was a quick Elvis Presley impersonation, but never mind.
Well, I knew it. It sounded
you knew it. You can't see me lip going up and down. That's the only problem. So anyway, life after the Harlots. Okay. So Charlo, what have you been doing in all the time since you left the Harlots up until present day?
You know what? I'm just happy to be breathing. Really, it's just very interesting. I left New York City for good in 1979 and moved to California. after we had gotten dropped from our label in '78. And, that was pretty devastating. You don't know why you get dropped, but then you find out later because the label just did away with the entire black music marketing, uh, you know, program in their division in their label. So you just try to pick up your life. But, it's like I was 27 years old, 28 years old. I just didn't know, or maybe 29. I don't remember. But I just trying to pick your life up and figure out what do you want to do? Who are you? That's a good question. So I came to California and went roller skating and sat by people's pools. And from 79, 80, in 1980, I got into the group Full Swing. I was in that group for 8 years and did a lot of, that was with Richard Perry, producing for Planet Records. And he had, it's funny, he had the Pointer Sisters. And it's funny because we had been produced by David Rubinson, who also produced the Pointer Sisters, and Patti LaBelle. And so, just trying to figure out who or what did I want to do, I did start acting, doing a lot of TV and film out here. And once again, thank God for friends in our little creative collective group. Mark Shaman started getting writing, doing composing for Carl Reiner's movies and for Billy Crystal, and he just came out here and he became part of a particular group of movie makers and movers and shakers, and so he started hiring his friends. So it was a wonderful thing to be able to go to work with your friends and still bring in that same high creativity. So that was a blessing. Being a background singer was my bread and butter. That was my secretarial job. That was my day job. And then our dear friend David Lastly and Allie Willis, they as our friends began to progress and move up, they brought their friends with them, and I'm so grateful for that, because this is how, when you even look at how we even just continue to do things in this business. It's through our associations of who we know, and I want to say, and this is primarily because we all have a New York background, is that on the East Coast you're remembered, and you're remembered for what you did, the body of work that you've contributed to entertainment, art, media, whatever it is. But out here in California, they've got a very, very short memory, and they say that it doesn't matter to them. But at the end of the day, I think that it does, because people are going to hire you because they know you can deliver. So it was about being able to maintain excellence, but also I had to learn how to live my life, and I didn't know how to do that. So I was, after a long time, I was able to get some good psychological help and some good tools for better living. And that also made when I was taking care of me, I was doing better art. I was showing up and being better, and that's what I wanted to do, just to really improving on just like personal excellence, and trying to have a sense of humor about it, which is crazy here in Southern California, because your mind becomes like string cheese after a while. Anyway,
so you did go on to be in the film Sister Act and Behind the Chandelier, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
You did go on to be the opening scene for Sister Act?
Oh, I did a whole lot of other stuff before that.
And Behind the Chandelier and stuff like that?
Well, I was doing television. I was Katie Seagal, who was a Harlette with Bette Midler. She got a show called Married with Children, and she wanted me to come play one of her girlfriends. So I did a few episodes on Married with Children. And I just started doing more television. So I was doing that. I was doing the TV thing, and then I started singing background with Dan Aykroyd for Elwood Blues Review. I got that job through my friend Tom Scott, and that opened up. That was a very interesting vibe, being in that Saturday Night Live group of merrymakers.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting how, the paths led to all, the music and the comedy and all of that stuff kind of, there was like a cross current of, it's just interesting how the music always led to different comedy stuff. It was always, the music was always fundamental, and then all these other things happened. But no, I got a chance to do, I did Beaches with Miss Midler. I auditioned for that.
Uh-huh.
And, once again, it's nice to walk in a room and have people know who you are, and not from a popular sense, but know who you are as an artist.
Yeah.
And they come to expect and go, oh, here's so and so. It's like when I auditioned for Hairspray, going back to the theater after being absent for 30 years. When my next to final audition here in LA, when I walked into the room, it was the best in LA singers, and I was so afraid. I was cowering in a corner. I was going, oh my God. And once again, Scott Whitman, Mark Shaman came out and were looking for me. And they were looking at me, and they go, oh, come in. And so they took me aside, and and I was kind of nervous, and but we were laughing about stuff, and they just said, just go in and just do what you're gonna do and start. And I walked into the room, and I just started talking like motor mouth, and I was saying stuff like, Inez, girl, baby, go bring me that platter of chicken over there on the counter. I just walked in, just started talking, talking like motor mouth, like, that's okay, baby. And then I started the dialogue and everything, and they love that. But just having your friend pull for you, be there, it's like, some people would say it's luck. I say it's kismet. I say that it's part of the path that you're supposed to be doing. It's like with Ula coming in, and I said to Bette, I said, that girl over there, that girl can sing. That was just loud. She'd be great. And when she left, I said, we need to hire her. I was like pounding my fist on the
Somehow I knew that. And can I interject something here? We keep mentioning. We keep mentioning Mark Shaman, and maybe your listeners don't know who Mark Shaman is, but he wrote Hairspray, which is in London now. It just had its opening, like 2 days ago or something. Him and Scott Whitman wrote Hairspray, among many other, as we were talking about, movie compositions. And 5-time Oscar nominee as well.
So Ula, what about you, my darling? What did you do
after I waved goodbye to Charlo, who went to LA? I stayed in New York, and I actually did Divine Madness, the movie, the Bette Midler concert movie, with two other women, Diva Gray and Jocelyn Brown. And then after that, I went back on the road with Bette, with Katie Segal and Linda Hart, and that was probably around 83. So, and that was all three of our last, that was our swan song as Harlettes at that point. And after that, oh gosh, I'm trying to figure out the timeline here.
It's, well, we have to worry about the timeline, but didn't you work with Paul Simon? And
yes, but that was much later. But I worked with Peter Allen shortly after the tour. We did Radio City for 10 days. I did backup for Peter Allen, who was the sweetest. He was so great to work with. I just want to throw that out there.
He loved us. He got it.
Yeah.
He loved us. He totally got it.
Yes. So, and after that, Paul Simon was around 91, I believe.
I think.
And Robert Plant. I went on the road with Robert Plant in 1985.
Awesome.
We went on a cross-country tour. And this is the first time that Robert had used backup singers live, because he had just recorded what was that Paul Schaefer produced? The the 50s thing,
Yeah,
Sea
hang
of
on.
Love, Honey Drippers. So that's what the record was called, the Honey Drippers. So he put together a Honey Drippers. The first half of the show was his solo album with the rock stuff, and the second half was all Honey Dripper stuff. So he needed 3 women. So I was hired for that. Thank you, Paul Schaefer, for that. It was Chrissy Faith and Millie Whiteside sang with me.
Wow.
And so he used us in the rock and roll portion as well, which was great. And then we wore these big poodle skirts, these big 50s things, and it was the Uptown Horns. So it took him a little while, I think, to get used to singers on the stage.
Yeah.
But
So,
that was fun.
There was another one, wasn't there? Now people here in the UK relate to this. You actually performed backing vocals for Blondie and The Single Dreamer. Is that correct?
Yes.
How did that come
I
about?
did. Well, it was Ellie Greenwich got me that job. Ellie Greenwich, who wrote, of course, a million hits, Leader of the Pack, being one of them, Do Wah Diddy, Da Do Run Run. She was connected with maybe she knew Debbie Harry. I'm not sure how that happened, but I got the call from her. Yeah. And we went in and we did Dreaming, which ended up on the Eat to the Beat album.
Yes.
And went on to be a hit. But unfortunately, my name was nowhere on the LP. So I was kind of annoyed by that. But that happens. That's happened to me before, too.
And you also did some TV commercials, didn't you?
Oh, yes. Couple with one close-up toothpaste commercial with Will Lee. Yay. I was about 8. Yes, it was him and I doing it. And I was about 8 months pregnant for that. And that commercial, which I had no idea, paid for the year's worth of medical bills, my son's birth, my insurance.
Wow.
I couldn't believe how much money I made off of that. Hey. One national spot. And then I did another one for Folgers Coffee.
Yeah.
And those are my 2 big.
So what are you ladies doing today? What are you ladies doing today, or in the progress of doing with this COVID-19 in the way?
Let me just say this to you, that both of us got married and had children. Ula got married first and had her boy Casey, and I was like the last standing pregnant woman of the entire girl, a cloistered order.
Yeah, we started late.
I was. And, it's funny. Late. We both gave birth to beautiful young men who were very talented and very interesting. With their very interesting senses of humor, and just having a family life, and for Ula it was living back east, and for me it was living out here in California, and now her marriage is over. My marriage ended when my husband passed, and so now we're just trying to stay cute. Relevant,
relevant. There's the operative word.
Relevant, exactly. Trying to, But I think that I just read an article this morning that in Korea, the people who are the change makers and the shapeshifters are all over 70. Yeah. So I feel very, very encouraged.
As it should be. There's a lot of wisdom there in those years. Yeah. We've been through a lot. Yeah.
And we, it's just still so interesting how the generation that is considered baby boomers, which is us, that we have done so many things. I mean, it would live our lives to the point where now marijuana is actually legal. That is a huge thing. And now the next thing that they're trying to legalize is mushrooms. So I'm like, and using that as a mental health aid.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I used that as a mental health aid in my teen years.
I'm saying nothing.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm saying nothing because I'm from the UK and it's all illegal here.
No.
Right. Anyway, ladies, we're going to have to wrap this up pretty quick because I know you all need to go places. how can people follow you and find out more about formerly the Harlots? Because I know there's a lot of fans out there and new fans as well.
Probably YouTube is the best place to listen to the music.
I'd say YouTube. If people want to do like a discography of each one of Ula and myself, and let's not forget Sharon Red.
Yes,
you could also
Rest in peace.
find all that music on YouTube, but you can also go to a site called allmusic.com and type in our names, each individual name, and every album that we're singing on will come up. And that's a crazy situation right there. Just to see the body of work that we've been part of, and as lead vocalists, as background singers. And I'm very excited about that because it just reminds me, and particularly now with the way, music compilations are put together, and that turns out to be another money stream that, passive income that you're able to get because stuff is constantly being played. And as you know, Steve, being a broadcaster, just the way music comes to us now, it's like I've got Spotify and I've got, I use Spotify. I listen on Spotify, but then I'm listening to Starlight UK Radio. There's a whole internet radio world that did not exist. 15, 20 years ago.
I tell you something, ladies, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. All right. Pardon?
Oh, I wanted to give a shout out to Darlene Love, who I worked with for 37 years and who I toured with until very recently. So just wanted to give a shout out to her.
Well, I was amazing. About to say before we go, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes. Well, that's my thing. And wonderful Darlene Love is turning 80 this year.
What?
Yes, and she's still going strong. So
she looks fantastic.
Yes, she looks fantastic.
I want to give a shout out to Fanita James of the Blossom, who I had the pleasure of working with a few years ago, and it was so funny because when Ula was here in LA with Darlene at the Whiskey, Steve and I and my manager and Rudy Calvo and Betty Kelly and Fanita, we all came to support that night. What a great night that was.
Enjoyed that. I did really enjoy that night. It was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, that's right, Steve. That's when is that where I met you? Steve?
Yes.
Yes.
Or at the Gardenia we met.
Yes, and then we were at your show, and just an incredible. It's just so funny how the people that we listen to, the groups that we listened to and paid attention to as teen girls, with our ears pressed up against the speaker, that we became the people that we loved. We became a part of their world.
That's exactly right.
I mean, do you remember when Dusty Springfield came to see us at Reno Sweeney?
Yes.
That was like, she was all in lavender. She was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, when your idols are sitting in the audience, or when you're standing on stage with them, it's just, it's like it's prayer
circle moment. Sure.
Yeah, you're in awe.
Yeah, and I mean, but you're just it's so transcendent because you just think, wow, I sat in my bedroom listening to this music, and here I am on stage with this person, or here this person is. It's so wonderful, and that just encourages me to know that to not stop dreaming, and that's the important thing. My shout out goes to young Ava, Nicole Francis, who I've been mentoring and working with, and she's just an angel girl, her and her dad's. And my shout out to all my singer friends, all of our background singer friends, and all the people who continue to make music and art and just keep going. The world needs you.
Yep.
Yeah.
As the old adage goes, it ain't over till it's over.
Or the fat
So
lady.
we're gonna keep on going.
Keep on going. Ladies, it has been absolutely brilliant chatting with you, honestly. Don't wait until the 30 years to get together and chat. All right.
Well, we need a part 2 of this.
We do. We definitely need. Oh, we definitely need a part 2.
Copy for part 2.
Once again, ladies, it's been great chatting with you.
Thank you.
God bless you. You stay safe.
You too. And we